So, what does it actually take to be saved? For centuries, this has been one of the biggest, most debated questions out there. Is it just about having faith, or is there something more we have to do? Let's get right to the heart of it. It's a really common belief, right, that faith is, the starting point. But to really be saved, you also have to add your own good works into the mix. Your obedience, your good deeds. It kind of feels right, but is that what the Bible actually teaches? To get a really clear answer, we're going to follow this roadmap. We'll start with the core question, we'll look at the biblical evidence from start to finish, tackle the whole role of our works, and then finally, we'll resolve that apparent contradiction to find our answer. Okay, let's start with the central idea. The Bible doesn't frame salvation as something you earn like a wage. It frames it as a gift you receive. This verse, Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9, is just incredibly direct. It says you're saved by grace, that means unearned, unmerited favor, and it comes through faith. But then just to make sure we don't miss the point, it adds, not as a result of works. And the reason it gives is so crucial, so that no one may boast. It totally removes our performance from the equation. So here's the logical question we have to ask. If a gift has strings attached, if you have to do something to sort of co-purchase it, is it really a gift anymore? Or has it just become a wage you've kind of sort of earned? All right, so if salvation is purely a gift, let's see just how consistently the New Testament builds on that exact foundation. Romans 3:28 puts it just as plainly. It says a person is justified, and that just means declared righteous before God by faith. And check out that key phrase, apart from works of the law. I mean, it's a simple question of language, right? If you do something apart from something else, you are doing it without it. The verse is saying justification happens without our works being any part of the equation at all. This verse from Romans chapter 4 might be the most direct statement of all. It draws this hard line, creating two totally opposite categories, the person who works and the one who does not work but believes. And for the one who simply believes, their faith is what gets counted as righteousness. It's a total contrast. So we're definitely seeing a clear, consistent pattern here. When it comes to being made right with God, the Bible just keeps separating working from believing. They're presented as two totally different, mutually exclusive paths. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's the New Testament. But what about before Jesus came along? Well, let's see if this same principle holds up in the Old Testament. Here we go, all the way back to Genesis 15, verse 6, to Abraham, the father of faith himself. This is hundreds of years before the law of Moses was even a thing. And what do we find? The exact same principle. Abraham simply believed God's promise, and that belief was what God counted as righteousness. Again, the text is just crystal clear. It wasn't his obedience, it wasn't his circumcision, it wasn't even his willingness to sacrifice Isaac. All of that stuff happened later. It was simply his belief in God's promise that was credited to his account as righteousness. And what's so fascinating is that the Apostle Paul makes this exact same point in the book of Romans. He actually uses the story of Abraham to prove that being right with God has always been by faith. It shows this consistent thread running from Genesis all the way through the whole Bible. Okay, so if the Bible is this clear on the topic, why is there even any confusion? Well, this brings us to the one verse that seems to throw a wrench in everything. Let's tackle it head on. This is the logical next question, isn't it? If our works don't save us, can we just live however we want? Are good deeds just irrelevant? And here it is, the verse from James 2:17 that seems to challenge everything we've just looked at. Faith, if it has no works, is dead. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a flat-out contradiction. So are these two ideas at war with each other, or is there a way to make them both fit? The solution isn't to just ignore one verse and pick the other. It's to understand the proper relationship between faith and works. The real key is figuring out what comes first. Now, this slide right here is the key to unlocking the whole puzzle. Works are not the root of salvation. They're not what causes it. They are the fruit of salvation. They're the evidence, the inevitable result. Think about it. A healthy apple tree doesn't work to produce apples. It produces apples because it's a healthy apple tree. In the same way, a genuinely saved person doesn't do good works in order to be saved. They do good works because they are saved. And get this verse, Ephesians 2:10, comes directly after that saved by grace passage we looked at earlier. It perfectly explains the relationship. We are not saved by good works. We are created for good works. They're the purpose and the outcome of our new life, not the prerequisite to earn it. Theologians have a couple of big words for this: justification and sanctification. Justification is that one-time event where God declares you righteous, based only on your faith in Christ. Sanctification, that's the lifelong process where you are changed to become more like Christ, which naturally produces the fruit of good works. All the confusion happens when we get those two mixed up. So let's bring it all together and just reframe this whole truth in a way that's really clear and easy to remember. So let's just reframe this whole thing. Instead of thinking faith plus works saves, a much better, clearer way to say it is this: faith alone saves, but the faith that saves is never alone. See, our works don't earn our salvation, they reveal it. And that's because, at its core, salvation is a gift, not a reward for a job well done. So we'll end with this. It's a question that, really, only you can answer. Where is your trust truly placed for your standing before God? Is it entirely 100% in the finished work of Christ? Or is it in Christ plus your own efforts, your own morality, your own good deeds? The Bible's answer is clear. Trust in Him, and Him alone.